A recent update from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, says the El Niño forming in the South Pacific has a 90% chance of continuing through the fall. Scientists say the tuna crabs washing up on San Diego beaches could be the result of the warm water from the El Niño. Joining me with other potential impacts are my guests, NOAA's fishery research biologist, Nick Wegner, and marine physicist emeritus, Tim Barnett, with SCRIPPS Institution of Oceanography. And Tim, remind us of what El Niño is and how it forms.
The first definition, if you wish, was given by the Peruvian fishermen over 100 years ago. They noticed the water got very warm off Peru and all the fish went away. And so this happened during the winter as a rule. Christmas time, El Niño, that's the way they came to that. Now we know that that's just a code word for a huge oscillation of the ocean atmosphere system, a natural one that comes and goes about every 3 to 7 years.
And it's warming water temperatures, correct?
There's the warming water, that's the phase we're in now, but there is also the cold phase, which could follow this one. That's the one that you really don't want.
And what are the chances that this will be a strong El Niño this year? We're hearing that it could be, and what does that mean for in terms of rain for Southern California?
Well, first of all, we can't predict the magnitude of these things very well. All signs point to a big one. Interpret that as you wish. When you have a really big Enzo or El Niño, it rains in Southern California, torrential rains. We don't expect that probably till January, February, March if it does materialize.
Is there something in particular that would knock this off its course? Like if it's looking big, here it comes, is there just a front that could come in, what could change that?
You know, that something like that happened last year. Nobody's explained it.
Right, that's what we were getting at. We hear this all of the time. Well, Nick, let's talk about these tuna crabs.
Sure.
For the last week, we've been seeing tuna crabs on San Diego beaches. They're not normally seen in our local waters. What's contributing to them being here? Do we know that?
Well, it probably has to do with El Niño and the warmer water. So they're typically a warmer water species. They're found off the coast of Baja California, Mexico. And during warm water years, they tend to make their way up here. So we've seen them last year and then again this year. And this year they're washing up on the beaches.
Yeah, we're seeing them all along the beaches. Some of them are alive. They quickly die, it seems like it. What other types of marine life could we see in our waters during, let's say, an El Niño?
Yeah, so it's always very exciting for me as a biologist to see what sort of animals show up. And we get a lot of subtropical and tropical species that will make their way up here. Lots of them tend to be sport fish, so it's good for the sport fishing industry. But we see lots of yellowfin tuna, lots of dorado. We also see things, striped marlin. We actually had a blue marlin caught last year, and also wahoo, which are fish that we just don't typically see in this part of the world.
But is that a problem for our local fishes, our local fish here, and the environment here? If you're sort of getting these new species coming in?
Well, yeah, those species often get displaced. So some of our local species, which tend to be colder water species, they have a couple of options. They can kind of deal with the warmer temperature, they can go a little bit deeper, or they can move up north. And so a lot of our species, the ones that are mobile, will move up north and out of this area.
And Tim, I understand that's a problem because some of them can get stranded, right? Like if the warmer currents take them up there and then suddenly the ocean changes, the temperatures change.
The road's closed and they're in trouble. But they will make a living if you wish. Monterey Bay is a good example. You see a Garibaldi. Remember those little orange things like that?
Sure, down here in La Jolla Cove.
Yeah, right. Well, some of them get swept up into there during these warm events, and there they stay.
Okay, we're going to just have a second to touch on this, though. This thing that's being called the blob, the phenomena being called the blob. Let me ask you, Tim, what is it, and does that impact our regional weather at all?
The answer to the second question is probably not. The answer to the first question is sort of in the eye of the beholder. Whether the blob is something that's new and different, or whether it's just part of the same old game that we've seen before, is an open question, because I've seen it before.
What is it?
It's just an area of warm water that generates somewhere in the Western Pacific, and it's a huge area, and it's carried across the North Pacific Ocean by the currents. And meantime, El Niño's going on. They don't seem to care about each other very much.
I see. So we're going to have to follow up on this and keep up with the fishermen as well. Tim Barnett and Nick Wegner, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.